I'm so excited about tonight's program. Welcome, everybody. Welcome, everybody who is joining us on Zoom. Welcome, everybody who is joining us on Facebook Live. Welcome, everybody who's joining us wherever you're joining us from. Maybe you'll be joining us later on the recorded portion of this. This is our Sunday Goal Achievement MasterMind. My name is Mike DeLuca. I am your host. I am incredibly excited about tonight's show. I'm incredibly excited that you're here. This is always amazing to see your beautiful faces. As you know, this show is brought to you by my company, Integrative Wellness and Development, LLC. We have no affiliation with any group, any thought process, any organization. Everything that comes on this show is a result of me and the people I invite. And what you see is what you get. And we're going to have a tremendous opportunity tonight to definitely be inspired. This show is about inspiring, perspiring, educating, helping you dream big, helping you follow your dreams, right? Giving you tools. We're going to be doing all of that tonight. It's going to be a really powerful night. So I'm gonna move over to the share screen thingy, and that's a very technical term. And press all kinds of buttons to get to where we want to do our thing here. So let me move this button here and that button there and all kinds of buttons. And tonight, our special guest is Julia Linn. I just want to say a few words about Julia. When I say she's one of my heroes, I do not speak lightly about that. I have known Julia for decades, and she is one of the most inspiring people I have ever had the pleasure to meet, the honor to meet. And I'd like to do a little bit of an introduction to Julia for those of you who don't know her. And it's a really cool introduction. She recently was interviewed on Access Hollywood. And for those of you who watched that show, it's a big deal. When you're an author and you're somebody who is doing great things in the world and you get to be on some of these shows, it is a big deal. And so I think they did an incredible job telling her story. And I want to share that with you. But of course, to do that, I'm going to have to press a whole bunch of buttons. So please be patient with me. And as soon as I get to all those buttons and the right buttons, we will get started. And here we go. We're having some technical things, so we're going to try that again. Because persistence wins over perfection, and we're just going to keep being persistent here. So let's try that again. I'm going to go here. I'm going to go share screen, advanced, video. And let's try it again.
The new season.
Indeed, which premieres October 25th on Bravo.
My God, looks just like John Turturro.
He does.
Get over it. All right, we're going to be right back with this legendary bodybuilder proving age is nothing but a number. That is then 64-year-old bodybuilder Julia Linn competing in an over 60 competition, but her road to health and fitness wasn't always easy.
Now, at age 11, Julia was diagnosed with having juvenile diabetes. At the time, doctors told her she might not live to see the age of 40.
Wow.
She defied all odds, becoming stronger than ever. Now, at 66, she tells us her inspiring story of survival.
It was 1968, and they really didn't know a lot about diabetes for children. So by the time I was 24, I started to develop retinopathy, which is diabetic blindness. 27, my kidneys started to fail. 30, I had heart disease. And by 34, they said, you're not going to live to 40 unless we put you on dialysis, and you still may not have a quality of life. I knew I had to make a decision.
After living with the disease for 23 years, Julia opted for life-changing surgery, a double organ transplant that reversed the diabetes immediately. 14 years later, at age 48, she underwent a triple cardiac bypass to cure her heart disease. Surviving both these surgeries gave Julia the push she needed to change her life even more.
By the time I turned 62, it was going to be my 30th anniversary since the organ transplant, and I thought, I have to do something to honor my donor and celebrate the life I've had. I decided, number one, I was going to get super fit because I really felt that I wanted to leave a legacy in my life to impact other people, show them you have hope.
Julia worked with a coach to get into shape who encouraged her to compete as a bodybuilder.
I thought, who wants to see a 64-year-old in a bikini on stage? And as it turned out, a lot of people. All right. I worked really hard for 2 years, and then I stepped on stage as a bodybuilder in the 60-plus category and won first place. And many people have asked me, oh, you must be so proud. I'm really not proud of me. I'm proud of what this body has endured and what it's done and what it's continued to do.
And as for what she would tell that 11-year-old girl.
Sorry. I'd say, sweetheart, everything's going to be okay. You're going to meet the man of your dreams. You're going to be in a healthy body. You're going to live a long life. You're going to be able to serve a lot of people and impact a lot of women who need to hear that life doesn't end at a certain age.
That's right. That's a great message right there. Good for her. And you can check out Julia's book, My Power Decade. All right.
Okay, so with that, I would like to welcome our guest tonight, Julia Linn. Julia, welcome so much. Welcome, welcome, welcome. Let me get you in here on the screen with me, and yeah, there we go. Julia.
Hey.
We are so grateful to have you here tonight. And if you don't mind, I have a bunch of questions, and I was going through your book and a few things struck me. So I thought we'd start out with a little Q&A with me, you and I, a little discussion. Then we're going to open it up for questions and answers with the folks out there in the audience. And then we want to talk a little more in detail about your book, your programs, and that incredible thing that's coming up in December. So first of all, again, this is a special night for me to have one of my heroes on the same space with me, serving people that I love and serving the world that I love. So thank you for all the inspiration you've given me over the years, and others, thousands of others. And you truly are an extraordinary human being and beyond. And extraordinary people, it seems in my experience, extraordinary people face extraordinary challenges in their lives. And they have to make the decision to where does that challenge define them, or do they define themselves by overcoming it? So in reading your book, first of all, to lose a sister at such a young age, to experience juvenile diabetes, your pancreas and a kidney failing and having to be replaced, later on a triple bypass, and all of the other pressures to reinvent yourself, invent yourself, reinvent yourself. What is it that you found inside of you, or you called up, to allow you to face all of these things and become the extraordinary person that you are today.
Wow, Mike, thank you. First, let me just thank you for that introduction. You know, the feeling's mutual. And I want to thank all these beautiful, I was going to say faces, but there's bodies connected to the faces. All these beautiful souls that are here tonight and that we get to share with. You know, Mike, I think what it is just knowing that I'm here for a purpose, just like everybody. I'm not special. I don't have any special, what's the word, powers, or, you know, even physically when people say, oh, you must have good genes. No, I don't have better genes than anybody else. But it's just knowing that my life has a purpose. I'm here for a purpose, and just like everybody, and really connecting with that and really understanding that each one of us have been gifted with talents and experiences and a way to show up in the world that gives to others in a way we don't even know. Like just smiling at a stranger on the street could change somebody's day. So I think that's what it is, just knowing that it's not random that I'm here having a lifetime. It's got a purpose. Everything has a purpose. You know, the trees, the earth, the sun, the moon, animals, everything has a purpose. We have a purpose too. And I think it was really connecting and making myself available to that, which happened over decades. It's not like I didn't come into life going, oh, I know what my purpose is, or I know why I'm here. In fact, my question was always, who am I and why am I here? You know, and maybe by asking those questions, that's why, you know, God gave me the experiences I had. This is why you're here. So I think that's really what it is. That's where I pull from, that I'm here for a purpose, and it's not to get, it's to give, but it's also to receive.
It's evident in how you've lived your life, and you know, your shining achievements are not just the way you look now and the competitions you won and the book and the programs, but I mean, everything you've done in your career as an artist, in your career as a designer, in your 40 years of being I mean, going and teaching in Saudi Arabia. I mean, everything you've done, you've drawn upon something that allowed you to tap into that excellence that you had inside of you, bring it out and inspire others to do the same. And I find that not only fascinating, but incredibly inspiring.
Thank you, Mike. Thank you. Yeah, I think part of being adventuresome in your life is to overcome fear. You know, just overcome the fear and the negative self-talk most of us have. And when you don't fear what's really the biggest fear for most people, I'd say for most of the population, which is death, like what happens when we die and it's at the end and then I'm no more. And then, you know, I think when you have an understanding, and which I do with all my medical challenges, there were 2 points where I shook hands with death, but it wasn't my time. But I did experience being out of this physical vehicle in another state of consciousness, more alive than I am now with all of you lovely people. And I realized I don't fear death. But at that point in my life, I was in my late 20s, I feared living. I was afraid to live, afraid to get hurt, afraid to fail, afraid all these things. And over the decades, I just kept putting myself in scenarios where there was no like clear path of what was going to happen. But my curiosity was, I got to do this. I got to prove this to myself that I can do this. And I have to say the bodybuilding is kind of silly to be honest, you know, putting on a sparkly bikini and stripper heels and being on stage. What it's really about is honoring the physical vehicle. And the world of bodybuilding, which I knew nothing about, is an incredible place to inspire people to do their best, because you'll find that bodybuilders live really clean. They don't drink, they don't take drugs, they're really into health. A lot of them really love God. That's a really interesting group. And when you see people doing that, you think, oh, I could do that maybe. So it's really to me, a jumping off point to inspire others and show others, especially women over 50. Any of you women on here over 50, I call you queenagers. You guys are my tribe. You are the ones I speak to. Yeah, put my hands up to my tribe. You're the ones. And we have walked through fire in our own way in this era of being female in this time period. And I can't tell you the pain most women carry. And they feel that, you know, the discontent comes through as, I want to lose weight. I don't like my body. I want to lose weight. But really what they need to lose is all the weight that's sitting from the center of their soul and suffocating them so that their authentic self can't come forward and live their purpose in life. And they have one, especially women over 50. I mean, you guys are great too, but I'm really speaking to my queenagers, where so much to give, but if you don't feel well, you can't give it. And that's really my message. Get healthy. It's not about weight loss or bikinis or, you know, any of that stuff. It's about feeling so good that you can become the channel for love that you were meant to be the moment you were born.
That point, because it's really, really important. There's a spot in your book where you talked about the fact that the purpose of the book and your journey and your coaching was not about another chapter in the diet wars. And I'm going to read this from your book. I decided it was not going to be another chapter in the diet wars, with my body the repository of frustrations, deprivation, and the weaponizing of food. This is really important. I found my why to get optimally healthy. A big, big why. And then bang, bang. I became a shapeshifter. I love that. I became a shapeshifter. And in a nanosecond, made a mind shift to who I knew I really was. I became the real me, with all the energy I needed to continue to live my life feeling amazing. She was just waiting for this moment to arrive. It was not about my body. It was about my spirit and my mindset and shape-shifting there, right? And how it manifested in my body. What became my power decade started with love, self-love. Can you talk some more about that? Because this message is so important for everybody, that optimal you, optimal health, optimal self-love exists right here and now. And we have the opportunity to go out, meet it, embrace it, and bring it back to the now. Could you talk about that?
Yeah, absolutely. I call the body the soul chariot. It's the vehicle that we as spirit motor around on planet Earth in. And when I talk about my authentic self and I talk about my big why was really to honor my donor, Gina. She died in a car accident. I was on a waiting list for an organ donor. I was 34 years old. My husband, Paul, and I had only been married 2 years. And she was my organ donor. And I realized at age 62, in 2 years, it was going to be my 30th anniversary of the organ transplant. I didn't think I was going to live to 40. The doctors didn't think I was going to live to 40. And when I was 17 and had suffered with childhood diabetes for already then how long was it? 8 years. Well, no, I was 11, 6 years. I prayed to God, please heal me of this disease. And I got an answer on the inner, and I heard, you'll be healed of diabetes. And my next question was, how? When? And the message I got after that was, you'll just wake up one morning and it'll be gone. I totally believed that message. I totally believed it. I knew it was true. I knew it was going to happen. And at 17, every morning I woke up. Is today the day? How am I going to know? Will I go to the doctor and he'll say, you don't have to take insulin anymore? Like, how am I going to know? And the days turned into months, that turned into years, and turned into decades. And I didn't get better. I got worse. Started the vision, the neuropathy, kidneys failing, all of this. So when I went on the organ donor waiting list, and I was under surgery for, I think it was 12 or more hours, the next morning I woke up and I didn't have diabetes anymore because of the pancreas transplant.
Wow.
Miracle drives me. It drives me. And I was told, and I believed it, and I didn't tell anybody. Who would I tell? Who would believe me? So that was my big why. And so when I had this epiphany that in 2 years, it's my 30th anniversary, I've got to do something. I thought, I'm just going to honor this body because it's a gift. Not only is it a gift from Gina, it's a gift from God. This body is an incredibly, all of our bodies, incredibly designed machines, gifts from God. And I shifted into a completely different consciousness or mindset where I became who I wanted to be in that moment, like in that moment. And yes, I did start to lift weights. I entered an online challenge. The first time I picked up dumbbells and started doing bicep curls as I learned them, and I really hadn't lifted weights or done that kind of thing before, I became her. Her being healthy, strong, lean, energetic, confidence to do whatever I want to do. It was the real me coming forward and being in that moment. And I'd look in the mirror, months would go, and I'd look in the mirror and I was getting more fit and stronger and feeling healthier all the time. But I'd look in the mirror and go, well, she's not here yet, but she's on the way. You know, I knew it was happening. I knew that it was, that I was going for optimal health. And that's all I cared about. And now it's almost 5 years later. And the biggest transformation has been on the inside. It does not even compare to the physical transformation. And one thing I discovered is I stopped working with goals. Of course, we've got to set goals. You get in the car, you have to have a goal. Where are you going? Like certain things, you definitely need goals. When you want to transform your mindset, your spirit set, your life, you have to work with vision. This is what I have found. You have to step into that reality now. It's not out there in your future. Just like the ideal you, the authentic you is not in your future. Like you don't have to go through all these steps to get to him or her. That part of you is present right now, waiting to fully express all of who you are, the divinity of who you are, the purpose of your life, everything, all the love you have as a container. It's ready to come out. And we're so busy setting goals and doing what we have to do to get to the goal, we forget just to be. And that's what I've learned. Just be it now. And thoughts, well, desires create thoughts. Thoughts create emotion. Emotion creates outcome. Choose your thoughts. Really be clear on what you want. Desire is powerful. Have clarity on what it is that you want. And I've also found that if it's not what I want, if what I want is to also serve others in a greater way, it manifests faster. And it's qualities of life. it's not things of life, like all the law of attraction books talking about, well, you can manifest this big house and this car and all this money. And it's really about manifesting the qualities of your life through the spirit of who you are, through your authentic self.
Yeah. Something you said really inspired me, and that was the bigger motivation for doing the things that you've done to honor your donor, honor your physical body, honor yourself. How important gratitude and service becomes. In my program, Your 9 Steps for Goal Achievement Mastery, I devote 2 whole steps to those 2 things because they are so important. To be able to connect with being grateful for not only who and what you are and what you have now, but grateful for what will come from the future to you if we dedicate ourselves to serve ourselves, serve others. And I can't stress that enough. And you made it very, very clear that one of the keys to achieving what you set out to do is gratitude and service. And I'm going to show the cover of the book again. I want to go back to the book so people have a chance to see that again. And you folks can order this on Amazon, but I wanted to show you the cover again. It's a beautiful cover, a beautiful soul on the cover, a powerful message, My Power Decade, a story of mindset, weight loss, muscle gain, and reclaiming health after age 60, but you don't have to wait until you're 60 to do that. So that's the cover. Go get it on Amazon. I'm actually giving away 2 copies to the folks who shared this post and invited the most people. And there'll be some other things that we'll be talking about later on tonight. Julie, this book is not just a book. I mean, this is like a coach in a box. This is a map, a journey, a television commentator, all built into its genius. What I was most touched by was the journaling portion. A lot of people write a book and they tell you this is my wisdom, this is the experience I had, here's what I want you to do. But in every chapter, you guide the reader to go within and journal. So they have to write this stuff down. They have to be authentic. And for example, list 3 things you would lovingly tell your younger self about life that you didn't know back then. That is incredibly powerful. I've done that exercise. I know people who've done it and it changed their life. How do you show compassion and love to others? How can you extend that compassion to yourself? Who do you most trust and why? And what junk can you let go of and not throw in your thought stream? I mean, there's many, many more sections, but that was so powerful to me to say, we can go back. We can talk to the 6-year-old or the 3-year-old or the 12-year-old and see where they were, give them our love, give them our guidance, show them a picture of the possibilities that will come. And doing that will change our present and our future. Can you talk a little bit about how you weave that into your process?
Yeah, I think that many of us had parents of a certain era. And I did this with my coaching group recently, where we all are women 50 plus. So our mothers grew up in a certain era. And if you read the book, you'll see that my mom and I had a very tough relationship. but she was my greatest spiritual teacher. She made me strong. She made me so strong. But we really looked at what did our mothers grow up with. Even if you had a good relationship with your mother carried the frequency and vibration of her era. So that might have included repressed emotions and regret over not being able to follow her passions, and just all kinds of things that women who were mothers in the 50s and 60s and maybe 40s too were going through. And so without even you knowing it, that their story colored us as children. And this goes for guys too. Our parents' stories became our stories, and it's not your story. So if you felt insignificant or not enough or not validated, not seen, even though parents were doing their best, we take that on and we think that's our story, when in fact, it's usually the parents' own struggles, being projected on their children. So we get triggered by these things as we get older, unless we look at it and we say, that's not my story. And I feel that this whole journey we have is to look at what is truth for us. And if it doesn't glorify you as a spiritual being or an amazing human being, it's not your story. Somebody told you that story and you thought it was true. And that causes us to make choices and decisions and behaviors that don't let us live the fullest life we have. And I truly believe that the body itself is, we were gifted this. We were gifted, yes, we were gifted life. We have consciousness because of God's love. We exist because of God's love. And how do we exist now, here, right now? We're in a physical body. And so many of us have decided it's not worth putting attention on. It's not worth taking care of. It's just kind of what we have to put up with. And, people are living to 100, 105, 110 in other parts of the world. So we know it's possible, but it's how we treat ourselves. And it's the stories we tell ourselves, like, how much do you value yourself? And I often say, like, if you have a pet that you love, and people are, eating erratically, not exercising, not, that's just part of taking care of the body. You got to eat nutrient dense foods, and you've got to move the body. That you don't have to lift weights. You don't have to be a bodybuilder, but just honoring this vehicle that you're in. With children and pets, you never get up in the morning and say, I don't think I'll feed my dog this morning. I don't think I'll take him for a walk. He doesn't need it. We do that all the time to ourselves. We don't prioritize this very obvious thing of feeling good. In fact, we normalize not feeling good. And then we get lifestyle diseases and we have other challenges. It just happens that mine all started, I don't know, early. All the things I had happened to older people. And now that I'm an older people, I have the opposite. I kind of have the health I never had as a child. So the message is, it's your consciousness. It's what that comes through in your body. Remember that thoughts create emotion, create outcomes. Always stay on the sunny side of the street. We're going to have bad days. That's just part of being human. But you just get up the next day. And like you said, Mike, it's gratitude and service. Service takes your mind off you and your problems. And so does gratitude. Gratitude just opens the heart. And I don't know, there's just mornings I just feel like when I was diabetic, everything I did to help my health didn't work. Nothing worked. And then after the transplant and the triple bypass and then starting to lift weights, suddenly my body responded and everything worked. And there were days I was laying in the ICU not knowing if I would ever go home, this was it for me. And that I can get up in the morning and go to the gym and lift weights. I've won the lottery, because the way that makes me feel, I can do anything. So I just wish that for everyone, that you realize the superpowers you have, that you've been gifted, not to hide them away. Find a way to share who you are. And it could just be in your circle of friends or family or work or whatever. But I think we normalize feeling terrible. We don't take care of our bodies. And the flickerings of gratitude and service are just flickerings where you could live your whole life that way. And I know, Mike, you live your whole life that way. Isn't it like so hugely different than just kind of going along day to day, taking the path of least resistance, trying to do your best, but not really having clarity of why you're here and what you're supposed to do?
When you have that clarity, but when you have that gratitude, and you have that clarity that, you know, each of us has our own superpowers. We have our own abilities and talents, but we also have our own mission. And I want to do another quote from your book, because this so beautifully paints the picture. You know, weightlifting, going to the gym, bodybuilding. I mean, you don't just one day say, okay, I'm going to go to the gym, and then 2 days later have the physique you had and win a competition. And you talk about this, that it's part of a whole process. When you start weightlifting, training, exercising, training, right? Learning more about nutrition, there is a day in, day out rhythm that completely envelops those turning wheels over time. And it's going to take time. It could take a year, it could take more. It doesn't matter, right? But they begin to align and they begin to spin in tandem and in balance, and with positive results, not just in your body, but in your mind, your emotions, and body. And this begins to flow like a river, and it has its own timing, right? That is so beautiful. That is such a clear illustration of the process. And it's so hopeful, because we don't have to achieve the goals of optimum health tomorrow. The secret is in the motivation, the why, right? And then creating that map of those little things to do each day. And it's common sense. If I want a healthier body, I have to put in healthier stuff, right? I tried the Oreo cookie diet. You know, I tried the M&M diet. It doesn't work. Okay. So if you want healthiness, and if you want healthy output, you have healthy input. And you give incredible examples of just simple things to do to change what's going into the body, to give your body the building blocks and the tools it needs to build a strong body. So there's nutrition. Then, as you said, exercise. Exercise should not be, you know, it shouldn't be a vampire we're trying to run away from. Exercise is what our body uses to survive, to get healthy. Weightlifting, now I've been lifting weights on and off, sometimes doing it wrong and getting hurt, but then getting the guidance of somebody who knows what they're doing and then doing it right. But for me, just simple weightlifting to me is a metaphor for how we interact with the challenges of life. Challenges create stress on our body, on ourselves, but stress develops muscle, right? When there is a challenge, when there is stress, when there is pushback, right? We become stronger. And we can start out slow, but slowly build. And we're not only building in strength and the ability to lift more weight, but we're building in confidence about our strength and that I can do more. I did 5 pounds, I can do 10 pounds. I did 10 pounds, I can do 20 pounds. Then eventually I can do anything I set my mind to. But it starts in little increments, but it needs focus, a plan, consistency, guidance, right? And patience, right? And you so beautifully exemplify that, and in your book illustrate that to us. You are an incredibly focused and patient person, and you are compassionate not only to others but to yourself. You gave yourself, through your self-compassion and patience, you gave yourself the space to flow into the who and the what and the why you were meant to be. I think that's a really important message that you can share with the group tonight. It's giving yourself that gift.
Yeah. And you're the only one that can give yourself that gift. Looking for validation outside of ourselves is never satisfying. But when you give it to yourself and you have that vision of who you really are and you allow that person to come out, you can accomplish anything. One of the things that has really changed with me, my confidence, not that I lacked confidence before on any sort of perceivable level, but the confidence I have now in doing anything I want to do has made me more judicious about choices. What do I want to do? I'm also more organized. I have a sense of structure. And I did a study of entrepreneurs over the recent couple of years. And what I discovered was so many of them started out as fitness coaches, like Tony Robbins, and that level of thought leader or business entrepreneur. And they're not in the fitness industry anymore. But what it gave them was this day in and day out discipline of doing something that was a positive, repetitive action. And the payoff is, after a while, it does run in the background. And you don't get up in the morning and go, should I go to the gym or not go to the gym? And because you just go to the gym because it's part of who you are. And it's also, the goal is not a vanity goal. It's not to look a certain way. It's not to lose the weight. It's to be so healthy that nothing holds you back from really diving in and using your talents and serving and having a fulfilling life. And that's what it does. For me, true fulfillment is having an impact on other people's lives in a positive way, as well as taking care of yourself. And any messaging you have or any negative self-talk that you have or we have are false stories, false narratives. Just stop sometime and say, is it true? And if you really think about it, it's not. And you think about all the other things you've accomplished. I hear from so many women that say, I can't do, I'm so afraid to start again. I've had so many failures. I can't do this. And part of the reason is they didn't fail. The method they used failed. If they could get the right method, which Mike was saying, it takes time. It doesn't happen overnight. And it is like a river. And I always say, you can't push a river. You're part of nature. Your body's part of nature. And the other thing I tell women is to remind them, it takes 9 months for a baby to form in the womb. Do you think you're going to completely transform your body in less time than that? Really respect the cycles of nature, because you're part of nature. And I've been doing this almost 5 years. Every year my physique changes. I gain more muscle. My body recompositions itself, and I'm getting older, but I'm aging in reverse because I'm building muscle, which is really the organ of longevity. If you don't have muscle, I heard one woman say, I just want to walk to the bathroom when I'm 90. Like, no one wants to be dependent. Now is the time. And you don't know the gifts and treasures it's going to bring when you feel good. You just don't. Your whole mindset, your consciousness changes. It's pretty profound, but you just got to take that first step and believe you can do it. And it's a spiritual path. Honestly, getting healthy is a spiritual path. Your body is like a science lab. You figure out what kind of nutrition works for you. You figure out what kind of exercise works for you. honestly, just walking is enough every day. Just, moving your body, especially if you sit all day, you've got to get up and move. Your body wants to move. It also wants to be optimally healthy. When you get a cut, it immediately starts to heal. That's your body's intelligence and its survival power, that it wants to be healthy, that it immediately starts healing itself. I mean, if you just kind of step back and look at all the things the body has done, and people that I work with, that a lot of women hate their bodies. They hate they hate the way they look. They hate the way they feel in their body. And one of the things I have them do, which is really hard for some of them, is to write their body a love letter and thank it for all the things it has done for them over the years, instead of worrying about the size, the cellulite, the wrinkles, whatever. That's very hard for some women, but it's a very healing thing to do, just to write your body a love letter.
Well, that's a process. We could continue, and that will help with that momentum. A lot of what we're talking about tonight is in your book. I just wanted people to see the cover of that again. So again, this book is it's available on Amazon. My Power Decade: Story of Mindset, Weight Loss, Muscle Gain, and Reclaiming Health After Age 60. I want to talk a little bit, Julie, about your website. So I'm going to share the website here. You folks, I put the link in all of the posts that I did and emails, but it's bodybeautylovelife.com. Please, I highly suggest you go visit that site. And you know what? You don't have to be a queen-ager. I visited it. I'm actually encouraging you, whoever and whatever you are, to go there, and also to download this amazing ebook that Julie has. Let me pull that up on the screen here for you. There we go. Can you see that? 5 mistakes women make that keep them from feeling and looking fabulous after 50, and how to fix all of them forever. Okay. And this works for men and women, but you have your tribe. But I downloaded it. I'm going to work with it. And May Beth is going to work with it. And I'm really looking forward to it. It's free. My favorite price right there. It's free. So please go to her website, download this incredible gift here. There is so much inside of it, so many great mindset and self-love and gratitude and all kinds of wonderful things in there. So please download that. You will be giving yourself a gift. And I wanted, Julie, just for a moment, folks, tonight is the beginning. It's not, at the end of tonight, that's it for Julie. We're not going to pay any attention to her anymore. That's not the case, because her message is so powerful. Julie, can you talk about the next step, about what's coming up December 1st to 5th?
Yeah. This has all happened very organically. I never set out to be a coach, never set out to bodybuild. I didn't know that it was going to go in this direction. But when I started getting fit, I'll just give you a little background. I was working with a coach, and I was putting my progress pictures. I thought the best place to do that is Instagram, so I can just point her to my Instagram, but I made it private. It was not public. It was like just for my coach, so she could guide me about next steps and whatever. And then I met fitness women my age that were working out. They found out my story about my medical everything and saw my progress and said, Julia, you need to make this public. And I thought, I don't know. I don't know if I want to make it public. And what I did was I changed my name. So some of you know me as Julie Olson. I took my middle name, Lynn, L-Y-N-N, made it my last name, L-I-N-N, and put my name as Julia instead of Julie. And I've always felt like a Julia, so that really fit. So Julia Linn kind of protected me on the internet from anyone really finding where I live, which I have to be careful with because there's a lot of people out there with, not so pure intentions. But anyway, so I made my Instagram public and I started going to shows and competing, and it grew and grew and grew and grew. And women in my age group were saying, do you coach? Do you coach? Do you coach? They couldn't believe someone over 60 could go from being as out of shape as I was to competing in bodybuilding. And I thought, I don't know if I want to coach. And I ended up, as curious as I am, I took a certification course for a year for personal training, all aspects of it, loved it, and realized, I'm a certified coach now. And I decided, okay, I'll offer a 4-week masterclass. That thing filled up so fast. I got 60 women. It was mind-blowing, and it changed their lives. And so then I started setting up more programs to coach women 50 plus. And it's been a year and a half since I started this business, Body, Beauty, Love, Life, because I want you to know your body is beautiful and to love your life. And I always say, love your body now. Love it right now. Appreciate it right now. Don't wait until it's the way you want it to be. Just it's in the moment now. So I really love to give back. And there's so many women that are in pain about their bodies. And it's really not about their body. It's about their spirit. So I kind of sneak the spiritual angle in there without them knowing it. But as soon as they get in, they're like totally understanding. So on December 1st, 2nd, 3rd, 4th, and 5th, I am doing a free 5-day challenge. And it's called Ageless Woman's Guide to Your Ideal Body and Mindset. And you guys are welcome too, of course. And it's 5 nights consecutive from 6 to 7:30 p.m. on Zoom. And every day there will be a challenge. And every day there will be a specific topic. And we're going to start with mindset. And this is going to be, pretty incredible. I created a Facebook group that if someone registers for the challenge, they can join the Facebook group. And there's women in there from all over the world already. There's 200 women in there already from the Netherlands, Denmark, Sweden, Argentina, Germany, France, US, Canada. This is how universal this need is. And I just love the idea that I can share what I've discovered with them, and hopefully they can turn their lives around and find a local trainer, go to their local gym, whatever it is. And then there's 200 in the Facebook group, which isn't required to be in the group, but over 600 women have signed up for the challenge. So it just tells me how big the need is. And I love doing things like this for free because, someone might be on the path, but just kind of be stuck and not know what my next step. They don't necessarily need a coach or a program or a trainer, but it's that connection with other souls, if you will, that are going through their life, struggling. And if I found something that worked, I want to share it with them. To me, that's really part of the gift of being alive, that we can share and pay it forward. So I'm super excited about this challenge. I can put the link to the registration in the chat. Do you want me to do that, Mike?
Yes, please.
It takes you to a landing page, and I just put it in the chat. And you just put in your email and your name, and then you get on the email list. And I'm sending out emails every, I don't know, 3 or 4 days leading up to the challenge. And then it starts December 1st. And it's like before the holidays when things can get really stressful for people. You know, there's feelings of loneliness, there's feelings of family drama, there's, you know, anxiety. It's not all unicorns and rainbows for people. It can be really, you know, stressful. So I really emphasize mindset through everything, that, you know, that's what controls our body. And if someone is having a hard time, I think controlling and having discipline or the motivation, a lot of women say, I just can't get motivated. But then if you look at their life, they're working full time. They have 2 kids at home. They have aging parents they're taking care of. It's like their energy is leaking to everyone else, and they haven't created a safe space for themselves to take care of them. And, you know, it's like they're the doormat of their life. And the doormat says, welcome, come on in. I'll take care of you because I don't take care of myself. And that's the biggest message. Like, don't just put yourself on the list, put yourself at the top of the list, because you can't pour from an empty cup. It's like you're on an airplane and the oxygen masks come down. They always tell you, put yours on first so you can help the person next to you. It's just common sense in a lot of cases that we have to be in a state where we can give the most, live the most, be the most fulfilled, be the most joyous and happy. And everyone has to find that for themselves. Like, what is it that's going to make them happy? Bodybuilding? No, not for so many. Walking for exercise? Yeah, that's easy to do. Making different choices about food? Yeah, that's easy to do. Like, you have to find out what your body wants. Some people do have a hard time with carbs. Some people like plant-based foods. Some people are total animal protein eaters. So all of those kinds of things I'm going to talk about in the 5-day challenge, and then give you a little challenge each night to do as sort of a teaching point. Let me try this out. Let me do this. So it's interactive in a way, but if there's 1,000 people on this Zoom call, I don't know how interactive that might be. I don't know about breakout rooms. I'm trying to figure that out. But you're all welcome. You're all very welcome to attend.
And we'll talk about that again before we end. But at this point, I think people are really anxious to chat with you, Julie, and ask some questions. So if you folks could use the raise your little golden hand, you know where that is. If you go to more on the bottom of your screen, it says reactions. You click on reactions, there's a raise hand. It's the biggest, longest button on the bottom. So if you can raise your hand, we will recognize you, and I'll have you unmute yourself, and we will have the opportunity to chat with Julie. So who's going to be the second person? Roseanne. All right, Roseanne, if you'll unmute yourself, and what would you like to ask Julie? Julia.
Julia, hi, thank you so much. This is a wonderful, wonderful presentation. I have a question for you. I'm not sure exactly what the law of reversed effort is. Are you familiar with that law?
Mm-hmm.
And I was just wondering how that, I mean, I don't want to be a naysayer because I'm loving what I'm hearing from you, but sometimes I think the law of reversed effort, and for everybody's benefit, I'm not sure exactly what it is. Maybe Julia can tell us, but I have an idea what it is. Anyway, how do you know when you're hitting up against the law of reversed effort?
Hi, Roseanne. I think the the phrase I said before that I say a lot is you can't push a river.
Right.
You know, this idea of having a goal and pushing towards a goal when all your effort's going this way, and maybe the reversed effort is to just sit in the consciousness of where it is you want to have your reality and manifest. Because I think for me, it's about not pushing and being patient and letting cycles and seasons and times and rhythms flow the way they should. And is in terms of a physical transformation, like I said, our bodies are made out of physical matter, just like the trees, the ocean, the earth. There's cycles to nature. There's cycles to our bodies too. And to me, the law of reversed effort is you don't leak your energy in areas you have no control over. That's my understanding.
That's great. Thank you so much.
Yeah. Thanks for your question.
Who's next?
The merit.
Marie.
I was busy looking for the little raise hand thing.
All right.
So thank you for seeing my physical hand. Julie, this thing that you just said about patience and rhythm and etc. really lit up for me. And my question has to do with how do I use that with this particular challenge? I am afraid of being the shape that my body was born to be. I am afraid. I know because I've done so much work on this, I know the traumas in childhood that caused me to not go there. And somehow when you said, be patient, allow the rhythm to unfold, it lit up for me like, yeah, it's linked somehow, but I can't figure it out. The linkages. I thought maybe you could shine a light on that for me, please.
The merit. Hi, sweetie. So good to see you.
Thank you.
I call this part a shadow self that we have, the saboteur. The saboteur protects us from opening and triggering those wounds that we've had as children. And that's kind of where the saboteur wants the focus to go. And it's a part of who we are. I mean, it's not bad or whatever. It's part of who we are. And I find the strongest way to get beyond that fear is to take action. Just take action. Don't even think about it. Like, you start taking action day in and day out. Hey, I'm going to take a walk today. I'm going to walk for 45 minutes. I'm going to just get up in the morning, put on my shoes, get out the door and walk. I'm going to make better. I'm going to eat some food that makes me feel good. And maybe I won't eat so much. And you start making these choices rather than, oh, I have this goal to have a certain physique. How am I ever going to get there? So many women say to me, it's not possible in my mind. It doesn't happen in your mind. It happens with structure in this outer part of who we are by taking action. And as you take action, you realize, oh, it has this benefit. It has this result. I like that. And then you get this biofeedback loop from your body. Do more of that instead of like signing up for a program. And if you've done I've done every diet there is, honestly. I have. And none of them work. I didn't fail. They failed me. We were given the wrong information. Starvation diet, lots of cardio. Number one, if you are on a starvation diet to lose weight, unsustainable. Your body doesn't like it. So you're going to have binges, and maybe you lose the weight at 6 months or a year and you go, oh, thank God that's over. Now I can go back to the way I usually eat. And because you didn't build muscle, you lost fat and muscle. your body gets all that muscle back. I took pictures of myself where I weighed 10 pounds heavier. How can I say this? I weighed 116 in both photos. One photo, I look pretty spongy. The other photo, I look muscular, and they're 4 years apart, because once you build muscle, you can actually eat more food. You can eat food you love, and you feel better. Your body recompositions. But if you starve it, you'll strip it of fat and muscle, and you'll just be bones. You'll be skinny fat, they call it. And that's not healthy. So the other thing is get enough protein, especially if you're postmenopause. Get enough protein. We don't eat enough protein. And also don't be afraid of carbs. Some women are more sensitive to carbs, but your body, your muscles need that for glycogen to build. That's the key, that you build muscle, and you build muscle by moving your body, doing resistance training, and eating enough food. Because a lot of people say, well, I'm told I don't eat enough, or I eat too much. Which is it? And it kind of depends on where you are. A lot of women, 800 calories a day, and they're 50 pounds overweight, and they don't know why, because they've ruined their metabolism, and they haven't gotten that base point, that baseline of a healthy metabolism. And I don't just mean digesting food, all the systems of your body as part of your metabolism. And the older we get, it's amazing that we can turn that around. And then your body begins to shed the extra fat. So if you look at fat, the people say a pound of fat equals a pound, or a pound of fat and a pound of muscle weigh the same. Well, yeah, they're both a pound. But a pound, let's say 10 pounds of fat on your body, it's the size of a cantaloupe. 10 pounds of muscle on your body is the size of a lime. So you can weigh the same, but you're tighter because you have less fat and more muscle. That's the key. It's not a number on the scale. And if we focus on that number on the scale, starving ourselves, not eating carbs, doing endless cardio, which is exhausting, it's a no-win situation. So it's really about feeding your body nutrient-dense foods, moving your body, getting enough sleep, eating enough protein, and just forgetting starving yourself. My cravings are gone. I had terrible cravings. My body trusts me now. It knows I'm going to feed it. So there's just, Smerit, you're like so many other women. We did all those things and they never worked. Why didn't they work? Because the diet industry doesn't want it to work. They want repeat customers. And so women are finding out now what, and the other thing is, if you lift weights, no, you won't look like a man. How many of you thought that? Like if you lifted weights, you would end up looking like a man. Some women don't lift weights because they're afraid of that. But unless you take steroids, you're not going to look like a man. So, I don't know. Does that answer your question at all?
Absolutely. There's more layers, but I don't want to take up too much time. I'm looking forward to the challenge. And
Hey, I'm so glad you'll come. That's great.
Yeah. I think the part that you said about the best way to befriend and transform the saboteur is to take daily action. I think I can wrap myself around that.
Yeah. And it's as simple as you get up in the morning, you put on your shoes, you get out the door, and you get home a half hour later and you're like, just waking up. Oh, I just exercised for 30 minutes. It's very doable. Yeah.
Hey, Paul, and then Jocelyn.
First of all, thank you very much. Great, uplifting story. What's your thoughts on anything that you decide to do? Like you can say, well, I'm going to do this, I'm going to do this. But when you bring life to it and you tell someone else that you're going to do it, is that a good strategy? Like you say, I'm going to do this. But if you do that for yourself, say, I'm going to do it, you're like, you can put just like, you're off the hook. But if you tell someone you're going to do it, it brings life to that scenario. So what's your thoughts on that?
That's a great question, Paul. Thank you. I think if it's a creative endeavor, you don't share it because you don't want that energy to leak. You want to keep it for your creative process. In terms of getting fit or changing your lifestyle or something like that, that's trickier. I think when you're in a community of like-minded people and it's a safe space and you all have the same goal, it's great. But what I have found from my clients is that once they start to get fit and healthy, they threaten their friends who are still drinking alcohol, who are still 50 pounds overweight, who don't want to exercise, and their friendships change. And so they're really more, I don't know, quiet about what they're going through because they can feel this sort of envy, jealousy thing that happens because people want you to stay where you are. They don't want you to. And when a woman starts to get fit, she intimidates other women around her because it sort of makes them feel, I want to do that too, but I don't know how, and I'm stuck and I can't do it. And I have to be honest and say the last 4 years, I've shared nothing about my journey to Facebook and lovely communities of friends that I've had for decades. I didn't share anything. It was just me and my husband, Paul, because it was such a personal journey. But then when I wrote the book, I thought, okay, it's going to be out there. But I had accomplished what I wanted to. I needed my laser focus, and I needed to be around other people that had the same focus on fitness and being healthy. So I think it's just depending on other people to validate your experience. I don't think is necessary. I think you've got to want it so bad. You've got to want it so bad. It's like the phrase I heard that, you've got to want God so bad. It's like a drowning man wanting air. It's like you've got to want it so bad and just go for it and follow where it leads. But, sharing it with other people can be tricky because they can throw a wet blanket on you. And thank God, my husband, Paul, has just been supportive 100%. I mean, he's just been very supportive. Some women have husbands that aren't. And then also, if you have a project, there's maybe friends that don't support what you're doing. So I think that's just an individual thing. Yeah, Paul, good luck on whatever it is you're doing.
Thanks, Paul. Jocelyn.
Hi, Julia.
Hi, Jocelyn.
This is really, really inspiring, I tell you, because it's so timely for me as well, because just like you are, I'm in the mission with what I do of helping women of about the same age that you are helping. I think there's a worldwide movement presently of women and others that are taking over and helping women that have suffered so much and are still suffering so much. And I do it with accompanying women and men as well who deal with toxic relationships, and also doing it from a place where they get rid of limiting beliefs and in their own life that got them there. But we know the history of women and how much limiting beliefs they have acquired over time. So I want to thank you for doing what you're doing, because at supper time, today, there are days where presently I'm accompanying a lot of women that have kind of suffered long-term toxic, and many of them are in a place of chronic disease, cancer, autoimmune, arthritic, all kinds, depression. And one really, and you coming tonight, I was asking the question, what else can I do when women get to that point? Of course, as you said, the thought's very important, getting rid of the limiting beliefs and bringing something of a belief that is very constructive, moving forward. This is what I do, and I see results are amazing, miraculous. However, if there's something more that I'm learning from you, that's what I want to know about integrating the exercise into the component. But at this point, they're so ill already from so many years of taking in so much, I'd say, subtle abuse, that it's hard to get them to that point. But I'm sure there has to be a transition place where I can help them through and integrate some of that slowly as they are now manifesting something of a better in their life through their own beliefs. So I will probably follow you for a while so that I can acquire some of that. The other question I have is that I started doing some kickboxing about 2 months ago, and I felt a little awkward, you know. I'm 73. You get into this at 73, going on the kickboxing with your gloves, and I felt like, boy, this is not feminine at all, you know. And they're all younger than me, but they don't know my age for most, except the trainer. And there's always this, the trainer is trying to be a little overprotective. So I wonder if that happened to you, and if you had any fear at one point of hurting yourself. Because if you hurt yourself, then you're out of the business and you cannot help anybody. So didn't you have that? And how did you cope with that into staying in something a little more violent, but somewhere that brings you a lot of benefits?
Yeah, I actually, the first months I was working out, I was intimidated by going to the gym. Paul and I were living in Mexico. We were in an apartment building that had a gym, and I'd go down there and they were all college students. And I was just like, not comfortable. Who's this granny in here? You know, I thought they were thinking, and then I thought, wait, I pay for this too. This is my gym. So I started to go and not care about anybody else there. But I'm also very, very careful in the gym. That's part of my focus. I make sure that, and I work out with a trainer, my trainer, 2 to 3 times a week. He actually corrects my form. If anything hurts, we stop. Like if I make a face or anything, I'll go, what hurts? And we'll stop. Like if my lower back or whatever. And he's a trainer, he's a pro, he's a bodybuilding pro, he's 54. He respects that I'm 66, but he also thinks I have no limitation. Where a lot of trainers who are younger, like in their 20s or 30s, think, okay, here comes this 50, 60 years, 70-year-old woman. Let's just work on balance and flexibility. And I think that that's just a slap in the face, because we can be really strong lifting weights, and it's the proper form and having someone show you, like Mike was saying, you've got to have somebody show you how to do it properly. And it's part of the mind too. There are a lot of women that are afraid they're going to get injured in the gym, but it's just because they don't know what they're doing. But if somebody shows them and they know, like you walk into a gym, how do you work out? How do these machines work? It's very confusing. So that's very normal for people to feel that way, but I've never gotten injured or hurt myself. Thank goodness, because I'm really aware in the gym. If I'm taking big plates off a barbell and putting on a machine or whatever, I'm super careful. And if it's over 45 pounds, I won't move it. And I would rather move 2 25-pounders than 1 45-pound. So I make decisions about if I'm alone in the gym. But when I'm working out with my trainer, I pay attention to everything he's telling me to do and what not to do to protect my back, keep a strong core, proud chest. It's all about the architecture of your body. And if you're a woman in our age group, younger trainers don't look at us as capable and strong. So they're going to give us sort of, I hope your kickbox trainer is like,
well, I
get him, Jocelyn.
I got a little bit of that, because after a while, I was actually doing it with other people directly. And then after a while, he got a little nervous, and he got me on this punching bag kind of thing, which I didn't like too much, like interacting with people, because the reflexes are not the same. And then he started practicing with me, and then he said, boy, you punch hard. And I said, I do. And he said, Ma, I didn't think you were punching that hard. And then I figured out, hey, how come he had that? Just like you said, he had in his mind that I was kind of weak or not hitting as hard as the other. Therefore, I would go on the punching bag instead. So I figured out, what do I do? What do I do? You know, as you said, okay, get on your trainer and do something with him. Yeah, but yes, that's the perspective I got. And I was not too happy, almost stuck, because I said, I don't want to be just on a punching bag all the time. I want to be with the real. I was with the real at the beginning. Why? You know, but then he suddenly got afraid that I would hurt myself, and then he kind of back up a bit. But anyway, I will keep with it anyway.
Yeah, to be honest, as much as I follow fitness and bodybuilding, the only people I ever see get injured are 25-year-old guys who want to prove something. They're the ones that get injured. They're not thinking it's the whole, terrible injuries because they're not thinking, they're trying to prove something. Women our age, no, yeah. But that's wonderful, Jocelyn. I'm so glad that you're doing that work, and you're amazing. You're amazing kickboxing. I think that's so great.
Jocelyn. Mark. You'll need to unmute yourself, Mark. You'll want to unmute first.
There we are. Yep. Sorry about that. I'd moved the little bottom thing along and couldn't hear myself. Okay. Julia, thank you so much for what you're presenting. Thank you, Michael, for getting Julia on here. She's awesome. I just want to say that I've noticed there's a lot of people out there today who are sharing information, and it seems to have all the same principles behind it. And you can hear these people, such as yourself, Julia, such as yourself, Michael, who they know what they're speaking about. They've got the experience, and those principles, I think, are resonating with all of us. And I just wanted to ask you, Julia, do you have any comment, and maybe you might want to say something as well, Michael, about what's going on, that there is this amazing shift going on. I think, we might be attracted. It's like, oh, I can change my body shape. I can get healthy. But it seems like there's something bigger going on, where there's a kind of a waking up, and there might be like 20 different angles that people approach it at, but we're really talking about a lot of the same principles.
Absolutely. God, that's such an insight, Mark, because I'm working with a couple of business coaches that are helping me, offer what I offer on a greater scale. And they're both very spiritually minded. And one of them constantly talks about what's going on in the world today. And Jocelyn said a little bit about that too, that women are stepping into a role of mentorship and starting businesses that are based on kindness, compassion, service, love. It's not based on profits. It's not based on, commanding the world with power. It's really based on higher levels of service through the unique gifts that they have. And one of my business coaches, is constantly coaching on this point, that there are people right now praying for what you have to give them. And that's why I love the work that Jocelyn was talking about doing. So I think you're right, Mark. I think that in all areas, too, male coaches as well, that we're talking about universal spiritual principles that come from the highest level, but apply to all these different areas of life. It's just kind of definitely, I think that's happening, that we're all talking about the same thing through a different lens or a different perspective or a different discipline, but it's all universal truths. Mike, do you want to add to that?
I would add that a long time ago, the feminine energy, right, the nurturing, the intuitive, the compassionate. We were a more matriarchal society for centuries. And things shifted as power became used as a weapon and manipulated. I think we're heading back to where compassion, love, support, intuition, community, nurturing, all of these characteristics. And remember, yin and yang, positive, we have all of that inside of us, but society has moved too far over to the masculine power-based conquering and doing things to people versus doing things with and for people, and especially for ourselves. So 100% aware of this. I've dedicated my whole life to supporting people taking this into their own hands, taking responsibility for their lives, and doing it out of love and service and gratitude, like we talked about. And that's why I do this show. I don't charge for this show, don't make any money on this show. I don't charge guests to be on this show. It's important for me to do this out of love and service. And life brings so much back to me. And I think we can all find that in our lives, how to do that. And that's the balance of the masculine and feminine. But I do believe this is a time period where it's really important for women to step up in control of their health, their lives, their world, because too many men who work from power have messed things up pretty badly. And so men need to connect with the feminine inside of them as well, the supportive, the loving. So that balance has to happen. So Mark, you're spot on. I see it. Julia and I are devoted to bringing that out to and for people. And I know you are too, Mark. And I know everybody here tonight. I've known many of you now for 20, 30, 40 years, some of you for the last 3 or 4 years, as we progress from the COVID Crisis Comeback Challenge to the Year 9 Steps program, the Goal Achievement Master journaling program, these events. I know that you have that same desire in your heart and your being to not only be the best version of yourself, but to help others do the same, and to create the best world that we can live in. Not the utopia, that doesn't exist, but the best we can be right here, right now, and love and support each other. And I want to stress one more thing, Julia. I want another quote from your book. So accept this. Start exercising, start weight training, fuel your body with clean food, clean water, get enough sleep, and prioritize your health. Forget the scale, use a tape measure, watch your fat go, your muscles come, and best of all, you'll feel amazing, not just in body, but mind and spirit too. And I love this is from Julia's voice and heart. Life is a miracle, y'all. But you already knew that. So with that, life is a miracle. Julia, you're a miracle and a gift and an inspiration. And again, thank you so much for all you're doing. Thank you for being here with us. It won't be the last time, but thank you for being here. Thank you all for being here. I'm not sure we appreciate when we take the time, whether it's for an hour or a minute or whatever, when we take the time to focus on growing, expanding, and being the very best we can be. We do this not only for ourselves, but it makes it easier for everyone else around us who are just beginning the process and the struggle to grow. there's an energetic thing that happens that when we devote ourselves and we put in the time, we put in the work, we put in the effort, and we see the results and we're grateful for the results. It's that 100th monkey thing that for those who come after us, the path has been cleared and it's a little bit clearer. It's a little bit easier. It's a little bit more tangible and believable. So, Julia, thank you for bringing this to others. Thank you all for bringing this to others. I love you all so much. I'm so grateful. Julia, we love you. We're so grateful for you.
Thanks too. Thank you so much. This is such a pleasure. And, I'm so glad it landed and had value for you. Thank you for inviting me, Michael.
Tremendous value, tremendous value. So, y'all think about what Julia had to say. Definitely get the book. Definitely, December 1st to the 5th, download her free ebook at her website. I put that in the chat. I also put that in the emails I sent and in the posts on Facebook. When I get the information about the challenge, I will be posting again, so that before December 1st, you put that on your calendar and you go ahead and do that. So thank you all again. Love you all, and we will see you next time.
Thank you, everyone.
Bye.